Hi, this is Ashley Gaska, and I wanted to go over a few rules regarding dialogue punctuation. So the first thing to keep in mind is anything that is spoken out loud needs quotation marks on both sides. Here's an example. I would like to play golf this weekend, said Max. So we have our quotation marks on both sides of what is spoken out loud, but since said Max is not spoken out loud, it doesn't get quotation marks around it. So we need to make sure that we separate what is spoken out loud from what is not spoken out loud with quotation marks. Anything within quotation marks we need to be able to assume is something that is said out loud. So another thing to keep in mind is that unless you are using an exclamation point or question mark, a comma should go before the ending quotation marks. Here is an example. I would like to play golf as well, said Maria. So you see the words that are spoken out loud go in quotation marks, and then a comma separates the dialogue from the dialogue tag. This lets us know that this piece of dialogue has ended and we are ready for the dialogue tag. So, if you are using a question mark or exclamation point, you don't need a comma before the ending quotation marks. Here is an example. Would you like to go with me? Asked Max. So here we have our quotation marks with our question mark inside the quotation marks since the question mark belongs to the dialogue. And then we have our dialogue tag. Now I wanted to point out that this word here does not need to be capitalized. So asked does not need to be capitalized. If this was reversed and it said Max asked, well, of course you would capitalize Max because it's a name. Here, I would love to, replied Maria. We would put our exclamation point within the quotation marks because the exclamation point belongs to the dialogue. And then again, we do not need to capitalize replied. So, the reason is that replied is part of this full sentence. Now, what do you do if the dialogue is split? Well, there's two ways that this can happen. Either the first part of the dialogue is part of a full sentence that is finished with the last part, or it's its own sentence, and then the last part is its own sentence. I know that that might sound a little tricky, but it's not that bad. So what you need to do is determine where the first part will end. Does the sentence continue with the second part or end after the first? Here's an example of how to format it if the sentence continues. If I go with you this weekend, said Maria, would you teach me how to play? So if we took out said Maria, we could tell that this is a complete sentence. If I go with you this weekend, would you teach me how to play? Is only one sentence. So we put our comma within the quotation marks before the dialogue tag, and then before starting the next piece of the dialogue, we put a comma after Maria. Easy enough. That is what you do if the two pieces are part of the same sentence. But what do you do if the two pieces are different sentences? Well, here's an example of that. I've never played golf before, admitted Maria. Would you teach me how to play? If we took out admitted Maria, it would sound like this. I've never played golf before. Would you teach me how to play? Well, those are two separate sentences. So this is how you format it. We have our quotation marks around the first piece of dialogue with our comma, which tells us that we're about to introduce the dialogue tag, comma, quotation marks, dialogue tag. Now, instead of a comma like before, we're going to put a period after Maria. And then we're going to start our new sentence with the quotation marks. Would you teach me how to play? Question mark inside the quotation marks. So, We've seen a few different examples of how to format punctuation for when you are writing dialogue. I hope that this tutorial has helped you, and if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out and ask. Thank you!